And to have Kim's support, to have the band support, Soundgarden's management support, Vicky Cornell's support, to have all their backing and they're wholeheartedly backing on this, that really means a lot to me, and that's another catalyst on why I'm continuing to do it. But it's not like I'm just doing it without their permission or know it all. They've been awesome. One process. This is Mark Menghi from King Ultramega, and you are watching CMS TV.
It is Chris Akin Presents. I, of course, am Chris Akin, and today we are going to be doing a little tributizing, I guess. There's a great release out there called Dead Wishes. The band is called King Ultramega, which obviously tells you it has something to do with Soundgarden. It's a great song. There's a bunch of great songs from King Ultramega already out there. You need to check them out. And we're going to talk all about the new one, Dead Wishes, as well as the previous songs, with the main man himself, Mr. Mark Menghi. Mark, how are you, man?
Hey, man, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you, man. And I'm going to just tell you, I love Soundgarden, so this is an easy home run for me. You know,
me and you both, bro.
If nothing else, I get to hear these songs again, which look, I'm 57. I was in the heyday of Soundgarden. I saw them, my favorite concert of all time was the Day on the Green out there, and Metallica, Queensryche, Soundgarden, Faith No More.
Nice. You were at that.
I was at that show.
Very cool, man.
They were on, what were they on? Bad Motorfinger.
Oh.
Faith No More was doing the album Angel Dust, Queensryche on Empire, Metallica on The Black. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
It's funny, man. That show is a pivotal show. I don't want to say it was the changing of the guard.
Sure.
But it really kind of, I don't want to say kickstarted the scene or the 90s scene. But if you look who was on that bill, right, and you start from the bottom up.
Right.
And then look where we're at in these days, it's obviously Metallica's still on top because Metallica's fucking excuse me, Metallica's Metallica, right. But you just look at it, man. That show is a pivotal show for many different reasons, at least in my opinion. And to me, that's one of the key shows of that decade, in my opinion.
Oh, well, it's by far my favorite show I've ever been to. And I've been to like 1,000 shows, but I mean, it doesn't get better than that. All those guys on arguably their biggest records, and they were, Metallica hadn't fully kind of walked over the edge yet. They were still metal. The metal in Metallica was still there. I mean, and I don't want to bash anything. I don't even want to talk about that show as much as just I have been into Soundgarden forever, and I've seen them. I saw them 15, 16 times. On Lollapaloozas and solos, and I saw Cornell's solo, probably just like you, I'm imagining, as a fan. So why don't we start there, man? I mean, obviously, Chris Cornell is iconic, and I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't challenge it in karaoke. As a bad karaoke singer, I wouldn't challenge that voice. So you start building a project on one of the arguably the most difficult voices ever to mimic, and one of the easiest ones that if it isn't right, you're going to get killed over.
I know, man.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this project has made me neurotic. And there's really no other way to put it. My family, my kids. I mean, I've become neurotic with this because it, like you said, it's daunting, right? And not to do one, but to do a bunch. And,
right.
When this first started back during the pandemic, Bill Kelleher and I were like, man, let's jam a tune together.
Okay.
Let's do Rusty Cage.
Sure.
And he's like, who could play on it? I'm like, I could get Charlie Benanti. He's like, I could probably get William from Alice. I'm like, cool, man. And then Charlie knocked it out, and I knocked it out. Bill knocked it out. William knocked it out, all within a week.
Okay.
Then we put it out, and it was like, poof. It was like, oh boy, people dig this. All right. And then Kim Thayil from Soundgarden heard it, loved it. And then Kim, that's how really officially, I've known Kim a little bit before then,
Okay.
but we really became tight from that release on. And then, Kim wanted to jam a song. And it
Wow.
was like, hey man, why don't we do one of your songs? And that's a first for him because this is the first time he's recording or re-recording, I should say, a Soundgarden song
Sure.
without Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did it. Charlie did the drums. Kim did it, and then I got Alyssa to sing vocals on it. And then it lay dormant. And then it
Okay.
sat there for about 4 years. And because I woke up one morning going, "Am I out of my mind
Right.
um, doing this? That this is crazy." And it sat there. It sat. It sat. Every few months, I would kind of get a poke from Kim. Hey, man, what's going on with the song? I would never ignore him. I was like, I
Sure.
don't know, man. I was like, listen, we're going down a slippery road here.
Right. Did he understand that it was a slippery because he's in
Of
the band?
course,
He might be too close to it to see.
of course, he understands, and
Okay.
I explained, and we've had many of very long phone calls
Okay.
just talking about Chris, talking about recording processes, talking about life and anything and everything in general. And, January of 2025, yes, January 2025, Metal Allegiance played a gig. And Raining Phoenix Music was there.
Mhm.
At that point, they were not my label.
Sure.
And Gerardo's like, and Gerardo kind of knew what was going on. He's like, hey man, he's like, I just don't want to sign you. Obviously I want Metal Allegiance and I want to sign you, but I want to do this Soundgarden thing that you were talking about. And I was like,
Okay.
I don't know if I want to do that. It kind of
Sure.
the same,
Sure.
because again, man, it better not suck.
Well, you know what? I just want to stop you there and I'll let you can keep going. But I think you're way underselling it. It, yeah, of course, that's any record. No record can come out and suck without taking some hits. This, if it's not great,
Yeah,
you're going to get hit. I
yeah,
mean, Cornell's legacy, it's like Dimebag. Look at Zach Wilde's one of the greatest guitarists of all time. And if you go online and look at any Pantera review, it's all this guy sucks. He can't play like Dime. He's terrible. And it's like, wait a minute. He doesn't suck. But the bar is so far up there, and
I
Cornell's the
know.
same place.
And it was really Gerardo who kind of said, What do you?" He's like, "Your original goal was to record a bunch of tunes, donate the money to charity, raise critical money for suicide prevention and mental health." He's like, "Everything you're doing is with great intention. Why would you hold on this?" And I said, "Because I'm a Chris Cornell freak. And if someone released a Chris Cornell cover, whether that be Soundgarden, Audio Slave, whatever the band might be,
Mm-hmm.
it's not good. I'm the first one to go. What are you doing, man?"
Right.
Uh, so it's tough. There's some bands and some songs that you just don't touch. They're just you don't do it. And then, but it was Gerardo who kind of coerced me into it, and then I signed a record deal with them for King Ultramega and Metal Allegiance, and here we are, a bunch of
Right on.
songs, and knock on wood, I think I'm 6 for 6 so far.
Yeah, they've
And
all been great.
as my family tells me, this record's becoming my pet sounds.
Nice.
I'm adding orchestra, violins,
Oh, wow.
cello, xylophone, slave. I mean, it's literally I'm becoming a neurotic head case with this, just because. Again, and I told somebody else I have these little, I call them Cornells in my shoulders.
Right.
It's just like, man, what are you doing? Good idea, bad idea. Would he approve? So that's kind of where we're at, and I've learned a lot through this process. I've learned a lot about myself as a musician.
Sure.
Learned a lot about myself as a person um, during this process, and I'm very happy we're here right now, and we're 6 songs deep with a bunch more coming.
Excellent.
It's awesome, and I'm humbled that I get to record with some of the probably greatest musicians on the planet.
Sure.
So yeah, man, it's awesome, but it took 5 years for me to say yes and let's do this. It was not an overnight thing, and it definitely and to have Kim's support, to have the band support, Soundgarden's management support, Vicky Cornell's support, to have all their backing and their wholeheartedly backing on this, that really means a lot to me, and that's another catalyst on why I'm continuing to do
Sure.
it because it's not like I'm just doing it without their permission or know it all. They've been awesome through this process.
Sure. Look at your screen right now. If you're tired of the hide and seek games with big tech, where links disappear and episodes get throttled, I've got the fix. I'm Chris Akin, and it's time for me to show you how to take back your access to the Classic Metal Show, the Seth Williams Show, and Chris Akin Presents. Pick up your phone, go to the App Store or Google Play, and download the Locals app. It is 100% free. Once you're in, just search for the CMS Network. You're going to see everything. Every interview, every unfiltered rant, every deep dive music discussion, every uncensored news article we put up, all in one centralized, uncensored hub. No more chasing links across 5 different socials. This is our home. But if you really want the keys to the kingdom, look for that VIP upgrade. For just $4.99 a month, you're cutting out the commercials, getting the advance drops before anyone else, and accessing bonus episodes that are way too heavy, dirty, or we just don't want to share with the free public. For the price of a cheap beer, you're supporting independent, unapologetic media. Download the Locals app today. Get some CMS wherever you are. And if you're a real one, join the VIP squad at classicmetalshow.locals.com. The Classic Metal Show and the CMS Network. It's uncensored, it's unapologetic. We will see you there. Was there any, I don't want to say holdups or bad blood or anything, but was there any kind of stalling points, I guess I'll say, when Soundgarden and the Cornell family were having their legal dust up?
No, I remained very neutral.
Okay.
I don't want to know what happened. It's not my business on what
Sure.
happened. I didn't read any articles online of what happened. I
You
really,
stayed out.
truly do not know. I've seen the headlines.
Sure.
I don't want to know. It is not my business. My business is to help raise money, for
Absolutely.
charity, and that's really, the beginning, the middle, and the end of what King Ultramega is.
Sure. Well, let's talk about some of the songs, man. I'm going to start with the one we're here to talk about, which is Dead Wishes. Before we even talk about musically or guests that played on it or anything, great choice. Just because, and honestly, this is what I've liked so far about what I've heard from King Ultramega, is that you're not just relying on the tried and true hits.
So
It would be very easy for the first song to have been Black Hole Sun. And you probably would have been forgotten 3 minutes after because everybody's heard that song 9 million times. I love the fact that like this one or Preaching at the End of the World or Preaching the End of the World. I mean, these are not the big songs. These are, you got to be a fan to even know that these exist. What led you to that? Is that why you did that? Because you kind of purposely wanted to not cover the tried and true easy ones?
no, I knew I didn't want to cover that. I could tell you right now, we're not doing Black Hole Sun.
Okay.
Never going to happen. We're not touching it. It's perfect. It doesn't need to be touched. It's to be left alone.
Sure.
But with Preaching and Dead Wishes, I'm a huge fan of Chris's solo work too. Euphoria Morning is one of my favorite records, top to bottom of all time, period. And you could hear, with Soundgarden's last record in the 90s, Down on the Upside, you could kind of hear elements of Euphoria Morning on, at least in my opinion, you could hear those elements on that record, and you could hear where Chris was headed as a songwriter on that record. And then, the eventual split happened in the 90s, and then Euphoria Morning came out, and it was like, whoa, what is this? And as a kid of the 90s, like you, man, I was in the thick of it. It was it was a refreshing record. It was very Beatlesque to me, and being a huge Beatle fan, it was like, man, it was awesome. And then recording Preaching, I was like, man, I was like, those are George Harrison chords. Wait a minute. Those are
Right.
I started learning things. I started learning what Chris was probably hearing. Obviously, I can't confirm that. I spoke to Pete Thorne, who was on Preaching, and he
Mhm.
confirmed a few things for me of, Chris's thought process with some of those solo songs. But yeah, I mean, I love those records. Dead Wishes, which just came out. Every song was picked purposely for a very specific reason. It wasn't that I just threw songs on a list and said, I like this, I'm going to do that, and I like this. It wasn't that at all. It was, let me just write down a bunch of songs that I truly love.
Sure.
And then let's kind of whittle it down from there. And I got to 10. And I can confirm we're doing 10 tunes, six are,
Okay.
and we cover the gamut of the Chris Cornell world, if you
That's
will.
awesome.
And
That's great.
yeah, so Dead Wishes, that again, you know, um, Preaching started my pet sound thing of I'm hearing all this other stuff, and then Dead Wishes is a continuation on
Right.
that. When we finished recording that and Braun turned in his vocals for that, I'm like, man, I hear violin and cello.
Right.
Do I know anyone who owns a xylophone? Like things like
Right.
that, and that's kind of what you hear is what was going on in my brain.
Sure. Let me ask you about some of the people that played on this there, Mark. I'm going to start with a guy that I literally said if anybody was going to ever replace Chris Cornell, it's him. It's Richie Kotzen. That dude, his voice is too close. Everybody says about Cornell, it's a once in a lifetime voice. Well, maybe it's a twice in a lifetime voice because when Kotzen does this, even on his solo records, he sounds like Cornell. He's as close as anybody I've ever heard. Talk a little bit. Is that why you asked him on this? And
I didn't think he would do it, man, because he reveres Chris,
Mhm.
he loves Chris, but he also doesn't. He's very cautious on singing Chris stuff.
Sure.
He's asked a lot,
Hmm.
and he doesn't do it. And last summer, when I was kind of looking at my recording sheet on who's going to play on what and sing on what, man, I just heard Richie on this song, and I haven't talked to him in a few years, and I sent him a text. Hey man, is this still you?
Yeah, right.
He responds back, it's still me. Is this still you? And and then he called. And then I explained what I'm doing. It was an immediate yes. And he delivered his vocals and guitar literally within 48 hours.
Oh,
So what
wow.
you hear was done in 48 hours. And
Okay.
it literally made me cry when he delivered it. When I heard what he did, sat where I'm sitting right now in my studio. I put it on and I just started crying. I was
Yeah,
like, oh my God, this is, it's like a blues soul rendition of Say Hello to Heaven with in
sure.
which he just absolutely goes. I mean, he delivers an emotional performance on that.
He's an amazing singer. Anyway, you don't have to sell me too hard on Richie Kotzen, that's for sure. I love his music. But the other one I wanted to ask you about is obviously the day I tried to live. Two reasons. One, and again, this is outsider looking in, and it definitely works. I would never picture Alyssa on that song. That song is definitely one of Cornell's more intricate vocal things. And I don't think a lot of people understand her voice. Everybody just thinks she's the arch enemy growler. Maybe
Yeah,
they're getting a little more now from Dragon Force as that develops, but I don't think people realize she can actually sing.
yeah. I mean, she did a few MA gigs with us, and she was singing Queen. And
Hmm.
I've always said her voice is amazing. And then, like I said, back in early 2021, late 2020, when we recorded this, it was like, who the hell's going to sing? Because again, who's going to sing it?
Hmm.
And I was talking to Alyssa about MA shows and MA stuff, and I was like, I think she could do this. I truly do believe she could do this. And she killed it. I mean, she absolutely killed it. I think she sounds phenomenal. We even played it live at an MA gig back in January
Nice.
because we were together. It was like, well, you're here and I'm here. We have a whole band here.
Well,
Let's
skip it
ask them if
go.
they'll play it.
Right.
And she's awesome. She killed it. And you know, a lot of these songs, the vocals really came through because it's not just pressure on me. They're
Hmm.
the ones who have to put themselves out there to
Sure.
attempt to sing this. So you know, you got to give it everything you have.
Absolutely. Is I'm gonna stay with that song just for a minute. Did you cringe even a little bit when Seven Dust released the same song like what a year and a half ago or whatever it was, or were you just like, oh well, that's them?
Never even listened to it.
Oh, okay.
Didn't
Fair.
even. I didn't know they. I didn't know they covered that song until about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, didn't even know they. Yeah, didn't even know they did it. I'm sure it's good. It's
Oh,
Seven
it's
Dust.
good. I mean, it's Seven
Um,
Dust. Sounds like
it's
Seven
Seven
Dust.
Dust,
Yeah.
but I would assume it's a different take on it.
No, it's kind of a straight line take.
Okay.
It really is. You probably, I mean, just for edification, you might like to hear it. It's I just saw when I saw that you had it here, I was like, and I was trying to put the math together. I was like, this is probably right the exact same time two different bands had the exact same thought.
Well, our song, we purposely delayed the release of that to come out the day before Soundgarden got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay,
One, Kim was on the song.
sure.
Two, it was a celebration of them being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
Three, we put out this guy
Right
that
on, yeah.
the song is on. This is a two-song LP. Um, that again, all proceeds to Music Cares
Music cares,
here.
right?
So we put this out, and that's why it came out when it came out because it all lined up to Soundgarden's induction.
Sure.
Not sure when Seven Dusts came out, but
This
again,
is 23 or 24, so they would have recorded it right around
yeah,
22.
yeah,
Same.
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess because they were in the news, maybe it put them in everybody's mind.
yeah.
That could very well be
We
it.
our version was recorded in 2020, which is
Yeah. Okay.
crazy to think about.
That
But
is.
it took all those years, took 5 years to release it.
Sure.
Yo, metalheads! You ready to let the beast out of its cage? This ain't just an album. This is Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast. The riffs hit harder, the bass thunders deeper, Dickinson's voice rips your soul in half. Run to the Hills, Hallowed Be Thy Name, the title track that made Eddie immortal. Every track sounds like it's straight from the devil's own amp. Crank it to 11 and feel the power that defined heavy metal. Don't walk. Run to the link at the bottom of the screen and grab this beast right now before it sells out.
Let me ask you one last question before we start wrapping this up, Mark. And it's obviously you can't be wrong on it, but it's a curiosity question. As somebody that knows some of the players, where do you think we would be with Chris Cornell today if he hadn't passed away? Does he go back to Soundgarden? Does he
Yeah,
continue solo? I mean, he was off in a different place when he passed.
yeah. I think I don't want to speak out of turn as far
Sure.
as the personal stuff of what was going on.
Hmm.
What I could have hoped for, is you get Soundgarden, you get more soloists. He was intertwining it. He was doing Soundgarden. He was doing solo stuff. He released Higher Truth, which is the
Hmm.
record Dead Wishes is on in
Right.
2015.
Hmm.
Right. So you were kind of getting an intertwined Chris.
Sure.
I love his solo material. I
Me
do.
too.
So I like to think there is a Soundgarden record with Chris vocals coming.
These are good.
It's I've read that in the press. They're working on it. Who, what, where, and when, I don't know. But so Chris's head was still very much into Soundgarden as it was into his solo stuff. I just think that as a musician and a songwriter, Chris wrote a lot of things that didn't fit the Soundgarden spectrum,
Sure. Hmm.
which he wanted to do and pursue, which you can't blame anyone for wanting to do that.
No, no. It's really amazing too when you look at it, the level of talent from that specific time period that we lost. When, you know, that we've lost already, you know, obviously Cornell, but certainly Weiland, certainly Chester, you know, Chester from Lincoln Park. I mean, it's really, I mean, that what I know now we're all getting old and we still think of it as new music, but it is old music at this
I know.
point. But it's still not, you know, it's not the Beatles. And Paul McCartney's still out there touring, for God's sakes. I feel like we fans of that era, we really got cheated a little bit by mortality, I'll say. I don't want to say by
I
habits or
mean,
whatever, but
you think about it, man. Look at the '90s. You lost a singer from Alice in Chains. You lost a
yeah,
singer of Mother Love Bone. You lost a singer of let's see,
Screaming Trees,
Screaming Trees. Yeah, Mark. I mean, obviously Chris with Soundgarden. You know, Kurt with
Violent.
Nirvana. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just like Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and it's what would music be like if they were all still around? It would be awesome. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. Um, you
Probably be a
know,
lot less stale than it is now, that's for sure.
well, the '90s, if you think about it, with all those singers passing, think about the late '60s with Jimmy and Janis,
Mm-hmm.
Jim Morrison, and
Yeah,
Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones, and a lot of people passed in that little era as
sure.
well. Imagine they were around in the '70s and
Mm-hmm.
'80s, just like imagine these guys were around. The music world, the musician world is not for the faint of heart.
Right.
It's deep, man, and
Yeah.
I wish people would understand what musicians go through. Everyone just thinks it's rock stars, cars,
Sure.
sex, drugs, and rock and
Right.
roll, and live forever.
Mm,
It's
every everybody thinks they're going to be Mick Jagger. That's really what it is. Everybody gets in thinking they're going to be Mick Jagger with $1 zillion and all the women and all the drugs, and none of it affects you. And you know, and meanwhile, what it really is there's one Mick Jagger for every about 100,000 musicians,
yeah.
and it's really what it is. The rest are just workers. You know.
I know, man, and it's sad if you think about it, especially with Alice in Chains, and
Oh.
see how to see what they went through with Wayne, and then to bounce back with William, and
Hmm.
he gave them new life. I'm not sure what Soundgarden's going to do. STP has new life now. Alice has new life.
Hmm.
Who knows what Soundgarden's going to do?
Lincoln Park was #1 a year ago.
Lincoln Park, new life.
Hmm.
It's you don't know what's going to happen. AC/DC was able to do it, and Bon Scott passed into
Right.
Johnson.
Van Halen. I
Van
mean,
Halen.
obviously didn't pass, but
They
you
they
know,
had bigger hits. They had more
yeah,
pop hits with Sammy than Dave, which is
yep.
crazy to think about. But so is it possible? Yes. Is it going to work? We don't know.
We'll see.
But I
And-
do. I know one thing. After working with those Soundgarden dudes, I could tell you this: it ain't going to be shit. I can
right.
promise you that it's not. Um, and yeah, we'll see. But it's crazy to think about when you look at all those singers and musicians that just left.
Hmm.
Here we are in 2026 now.
Yep, we sure are, man. Well, dude, this project is great. I cannot wait for the last 4 songs to be released here. King Ultramega is the name of the project. Why don't you give the plug for Music Cares? Where can people go to support, and what's the best way to support?
Sure, you could go on Soundgarden's website on their web store. You could buy the 2-song LP. All those proceeds go to music directly to Music Cares. All the streaming outlets, wherever one stream. I mean, I'm a vinyl purist,
Right.
but where if you stream Spotify, Apple Music, Google, Amazon, etc., it's available at all the streaming platforms. And again, all the digital money goes to Music Cares.
Sure.
We have a merch store as well. Same thing. All the money goes to Music Cares. And we're at King Ultramega, whatever your social media platform is. You could kind of see and hear everything we're doing.
Right on. Well, I'll say it this way. If you got to stream it, it's fine. Once, twice, get a listen, get a feel, but then go buy something, for God's sakes. It's for a good cause.
Yeah.
Buy something and support, because that's, even if it's not this band, I'll just say that for any band. Buy something and support, because otherwise the bands are growing away. So One more time, it is Dead Wishes, the latest single from King Ultramega. You definitely want to check that out, as well as the other songs that are out there, as well as the future songs that are out there. And we didn't talk about it, but be on the lookout for Metal Allegiance too. I'm sure there's something cooking in that fire, but we'll talk about that at a different time, Mark. So, Mark, it's always fun talking to you, man. Thanks for jumping in again on Chris Akin Presents.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the support.
Sure, man. Stop digging through the noise and get the metal that actually matters. I'm Chris Akin, and I'm taking 30 years of industry access directly to your inbox. The Classic Metal Show is officially on Substack, and we're talking world-class interviews here, the unfiltered truth on the latest releases, and the kind of deep dive commentary you simply won't find anywhere else. Listen or watch for free, or step it up to the VIP level for exclusive content that's too heavy for the mainstream. No algorithms, no gatekeepers, just pure high-octane rock and metal history in the making. Own your metal. Join us right now at cmspn.substack.com. That's cmspn.substack.com. We'll see you there.